Oh,
Oh,
God.
hey, y'all. Welcome on back to the ranch. I'm just finishing up some things here for our final show. You know, the story finale was last week, but that doesn't quite mean that the story's over. Yeah, sometimes we forget that these characters, as long as they didn't die, live on in the world. And it's natural to wonder what exactly they get up to afterwards. So, today we're going to do a little bit of an epilogue where each of them's going to tell you what happened after the story wrapped up. Then, if we have some time at the end, we'll go ahead and answer your questions about the story, the campaign, and the characters. So, hold on to those important questions till the end so we can make sure we get all the good ones in, or at least as many as we have time for. Anyways, sit back, relax, and enjoy the very, very last episode of Poison Paradise.
Oh, thank you so much, Marty. Oh, I'm glad we got enough of you here to put in a shirt.
Hold on. I'm losing people, but go on. Yeah, Kevin, all right.
All right.
He disrupted the void because he showed up.
I'm not surprised. The time-space continuum warped in many ways. I'm just glad enough of you showed up to put you in a shirt, Marty. Really happy to see you here finally. I thought we had a conversation about you not going in front of the camera, but that's okay. It's too late now. This is live.
Well, last episode, can't stop me now, son of a bitch.
Can't stop you now. That's right.
Marty likes to make an entrance, you know. That's why it took him the whole 2 seasons.
Entrance, exit, you know.
Yeah. Hey, wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much. And with that start, I mean, wow. Okay, let's go to the technical stuff first. We're still doing a show. This is a different show, but it is still a show. So let's do the technical stuff first. The rest of this week is really interesting. Thursday, we've got Avalon Society London Fall. They're by Dead Aussie Gamer. They're doing the Malifaux universe, the Through the Breach system. They've got Guy from How to Be a Great GM, Myri from Orkenspalter TV, Till from Dungeon Fog, Janet from World Anvil, Anthony, also known as Vegemite Dangerous from Roll for Damage, and their Fate Master Michael from Dead Aussie Gamer. They are well into their season. You can catch up on the back episodes of their stuff and our stuff over on YouTube, but I'll talk about that in a minute, and a little more about those guys in the second half too. But before that, our YouTube channel. Tomorrow we've got a Hero Factory coming out that I am really interested in. You guys are pushing some boundaries with this one. And I want to leave it all secrety and not tell anybody, so they have to go and watch. So go check YouTube tomorrow. What time does that release? 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Eastern Standard.
Eastern Time? Excellent. So yeah, check that out and watch that, especially after tonight. You can also, while you're there or between now and then, you can also catch up on all the back episodes, which you should do because we're about to start again. Puck is back, and the Too Many Warlocks and the Mercs of Mischief are about to align the worlds and change multiverses. And that all starts on Sunday and Monday of this upcoming week. Regular scheduled times. It's going to be nuts. You got to show up for that. Okay, what else? Let's keep going down here. Oh, yes, our sound for the final time here. Thank you to Tabletop Audio and Audionautics for the royalty-free music and sound effects that we used all the way through this and will continue to use tonight. Also, you guys in chat have been amazing. This is the 42nd episode. So in my head, we're calling it Life, Deadlands, and Everything, because it is, in fact, the answer to the ultimate question. And we would like to thank all of you who watched all these episodes and followed us on Twitch and subscribed and got caught up when you showed up late and all that wonderful stuff. It makes a big difference knowing that people are watching this and enjoying it. Also, the subscriptions are amazing as well. That helps support us and get us through. Remember, if you do have Twitch Prime, you can do that auto subscription. You do have to come back every month and do it, but you get one for free, and we'd really appreciate it if it was us. And it is a lot of episodes. That is. And also, every time you click like on one of those videos, every time you click subscribe over on YouTube, every time you send us some bits here, every little bit of that makes a big difference to all of us that are here. And I don't really want to speak for the rest of them, but I'm gonna because it's kind of my job tonight. Thank you to all of you for that. So that's the technical stuff out of the way.
I'd like to give one more thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you to Pinnacle Entertainment Group for making this wonderful game, these sets of games. And also, if you notice a little bit of new music creeping into the rotation last few weeks, that's from the official Deadlands soundtrack. So you might hear some of that tonight too, but they got a couple albums out to help along with your games.
They certainly do, and thank you for reminding me of that, Marty. Thank them for making this game, and my apologies for what I did to it. But I'm not going to apologize for anything anybody did in this game, to be serious, because it was amazing. It was way darker than even I thought it was going to be. But I'm glad I had these people that I can trust and who went down that road with me. And speaking of them, I'm going to introduce them before we even get started here. But I'm going to start. I'm just going to go around the room with the way we are in Zoom here. Sky, thank you for playing Jet. The cowboy's cowboy all the way through. Thank you so much. Sarah, Alice, the Southern Belle, the character arc was magnificent. Thank you. I enjoyed every second of it. Sam, Lucius is one of my favorite kind of characters. The guy that doesn't know how to be a hero but is one anyway. Well done. Thank you. Hannah, you made me cry more than anybody else in this fucking table. Congratulations. That was amazing. I know you want to be an actor, and I would be honored if you were to take some of the stuff that you did in this show and put it on your CV. It was amazing. Thank you. And Ryan, when they said, do you want Ryan in your game? I went, oh shit. Because I mean, you're a pro, man. You scared the shit out of me. But I am so glad I said yes. You added a whole element to this game, and it was amazing to play with you, and it was amazing to play with all of you. So let's start with that. Now, let's do some reminiscences. Characters or players. Just scenes that you remembered. I'll start actually, because I got one for each of you, and let me tell you, that was tough paring it down to one for each of you guys. That was really challenging. And the other thing is, these are character actions. These are things I saw your characters do. But the part that impressed me was the player doing it. The scenes. Most of these are pretty subtle little moments, but they were the ones that really stuck with me. And I'm going to do them in alphabetical order, just so I had a way to.
I apologize. This music's too sad. Hold on.
All right. Okay, this is good. I like this. So I said I was going to do it alphabetically. I'm going to do it alphabetically by character. So Alice, who I now refer to as Lady Alice, actually Lady Alice O'Hare, whose best friend Cheshire has a big smile. For anybody that hadn't figured this out yet, this was Alice in One Deadland for one of us this show. And my favorite Alice moment was when I dropped you in front of Sister Alice. And Alice just pitched in. It just did it. And that for me was this amazing moment where she acted completely unselfishly. And for me, that was the end of the character arc for Alice. Done. She's a better person now. So thank you for that scene. I really appreciate the shit out of that. Baptiste. I thought about this one for a long time because there's some like the Baphomet, and the one that's going to stick with me is not the Six Gun Saint. It's Baptiste Saint Laurent making chili and singing old Western songs the night before the big battle. It's that man who knows. He's the exact opposite of Lucius. He knows what it is to be a hero, and he knows what's important. So he brought everybody together on that last night, and that was a spectacular moment. Thank you for that. Ellie, there's a whole bunch, but the last one, last week, when I handed you the power to change time, and you fixed your brother's life instead of your own. Like, and I know we're going to hear some more about that tonight, I think, but so I'm just going to leave that there. But that to me was pure Ellie. I could fix me, sure, but no, they need it more than me. So that was stunning. Jet. This one is about a series of looks on your face. When Raven took you to that wonderful field and you turned around and saw that everywhere that you'd walked was dead, your face collapsed. It just... And then when you saw the little crushed flower in your footprint, it got even worse. But then you brought it back, and that happened. That big smile that just happened right there happened. And when I told you it was called Hope, it got even bigger, and that was, again, for me, that was that turning point moment in Jet where it's like, oh, wait a minute. There's more to this magic than just power. This is about hope. And I really enjoyed that scene. Thank you. And that leaves us with Lucius. This one was easy. Oh, wow, thank you. Sam, this one was really easy. Right after you burned every chip you had to not get your ass kicked by an undead Union soldier, and you couldn't hit him for love nor money, and the only reason you are alive is because Miss Alice showed up with incredible narrative timing and one-shotted it through the head. And Ellie took you around the corner, and that was early on in this campaign, which is why it struck me as so brave. You just opened up and you laid out Lucius's fear and his self-loathing and his lack of self-confidence. And that takes a tremendous amount of guts to do that, especially that early in a campaign. And it defined, again, these are these moments that defined who Lucius was. That was the start of the arc. The end of it was last week, right? So that's me done talking. Somebody else go. Sam? Yep, I got a finger.
I'll just start with Ryan. I think my favorite scene with him was just like our guys night in Denver, just like Lucius and Baptiste, just like having just a guy's day. It was just fun and just like relaxing and just chilling and just like making a day of it. We went to the spa, you know. It's just like one of those touching moments where it's just like, hey man, you know, what's up, right? And we're just relaxing, right? And then with Hannah, we've done like all sorts of scenes together, but I really actually liked that one scene that I kind of dragged you in with just Lucius and his hair, right? And then that one line you said was, well, you can make new memories, basically, as you were helping me with my burnt hair. Sarah, I loved when Lucius had an entire breakdown. You were with him the whole time, and the words that resonated, and they resonated with me as a person, was get your head out of your ass. Okay, so thank you. It went straight to the character and to the player, so that resonated me on a deeper level. Seriously, thank you.
Wow.
Jet,
I love it.
Oh yes, my legacy. Get your head out of here.
Let's make a shirt of that.
A true Alice legacy.
Sky, I think we've always been doing like all sorts of shenanigans. I don't know. Those little things here and there that we would do. I can't even name all of them, right? I just love the shenanigans that you and our characters did. I can't even pick a moment, So yeah, and Kevin for like harping on me just a little bit, just pushing my buttons. Like, thank you.
You're welcome. It was in there. I wanted to see it, so I went and got it sometimes. Any volunteers who wants to go next?
I knew it was with love, by the way.
Yeah. I'll pick one of you if I have to.
I mean, I can go. I have mine pretty well.
That's okay, because you're who I was going to pick anyway. So.
Oh man. So I feel like there's like an inherent like lesson learned with each character that I've gone through. I liked the arc. I'll start where it all began, which was with me and Alice. And I just liked this idea that there was this character who just did not believe in magic and refused to. And it was so difficult for us to get along, but we did. And in the end, I'd say we ended up closer than ever. And that was a really cool arc to go down with her, especially when I was in the jail cell, losing my mind, having a breakdown, and she stepped into my mind and completely reshaped everything and showed me, that there was more. And that was a beautiful scene. That was probably my favorite one with Alice. I would say that with Lucius is another one that I had a hard time with, but I really liked the tie-in with Scorpion there toward the end, especially because I essentially just signed my life away, be like, sure, he can make the shot, it's fine, we can do this. And I liked that, and I was happy to be a part of that final confrontation with Grim with you, so that was a lot of fun. Ryan with Baptiste. It was the lesson here for me, and this is really deep and beautiful to me, was just the concept that two completely different religious ideologies, or like what you believe in the universe or what you have faith in, came together and boiled down to specifically when we went off and prayed together and later you danced with me. It was just this idea that at the end of the day, we're all looking to something, and it might just be the same thing, and we just don't know.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really beautiful, so thank you for being a part of that. And Ellie, I don't think I'm sorry that you got brought in on my spiritual quest. It was amazing. I'm so glad that you got pulled into it, because it made it less, he's crazy, he's just talking to those spirit things, we don't even know what's going on. And then I finally had someone else who was like, yeah, no, I get it. And that whole, you coming to learn your magic and us having that bond, I really loved that. That was a great arc and scenes for me. And yeah, Kevin, when you killed me, that was fun. Wasn't that? We enjoyed that.
Was the one in the tunnel where you thought you were actually dead in the first episode? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Oh, so thank you so much. You've been an excellent, amazing narrative leader in all of this.
Thank you. And I like that phrase, narrative leader. I like that. It gets me out of that little box in the corner and down in with everybody else where we're all telling a story together. So there were three.
Yeah, I can go.
I think Ryan got a finger in the
did he? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, so mine kind of, what stood out to me the most really is, I guess, a little different than everybody else. Aren't individual moments from any one of us or anybody like that. It's the moments before I even joined, episode 1 or 2, chasing after the spider things out of the crate. Back when we still like rolled guts because people got scared of things. That only lasted one episode, I think. And when we faced the Wendigo, because that was the first time anything like unequivocally magic fantastical happened. And when we faced the first of the trials or the sins or whatever, because all of those moments were moments when like everyone was always we were all just in it together. You know, I wasn't in the first one, but just in it together and not really knowing what was going on, but figuring it out and relying on each other and letting everyone play to their strengths, and like really just watching this group of folks and getting to be a part of that. Those were always the moments that stood out to me. And because I mean, I love all of the storytelling and the getting to like the lore dives and the backstory reveals that everybody got to go through. But the things that stood out to me the most, like precious to me, like I mean that like in a great way, not in a snide way. The most precious moments throughout the entire year were those times when it was all working together and relying on each other. Those are the ones that really stood out.
Yeah. Thank you. I like that very much. Sarah, I think you were...
Yeah, I kind of have a similar... Because, like, for me, it was about the relationships built with each character.
Yeah.
Like, with Alice. That was a very big thing. And, like, each time that she first stepped into somebody... Also, I liked it when I stabbed that guy in the neck. But that's fine. Each time that
was right up there in the defining moments, too, yeah.
Each time that she, like, got close enough, I got close enough with one of you to step into your mind, and you letting your characters do that and coming up with what it looked like inside your character's mind. I feel like everybody had really good descriptions of what the actual inside of their heads would look like in a scenario like that. And I really enjoyed seeing how each one of you did it differently, because for each of your characters, I would have thought something different, and you all surprised me with like what they looked like and how they changed over time when I went in multiple times, if I did.
Yeah.
So I just liked it. But that's me, because I'm like creative shit, because
yeah,
that's
well, I want to mention too, part of this character shows up 20-something years later in time in a different game, in a
Spoilers!
Game, as another version of this Alice in Wonderland character, right? Is that? Yeah. I mean, I know it's a spoiler, but yeah, this character's got a future already. Right? So
yeah.
And that's where the ideas, honestly, for this brain walking came from. In fact, you turn out to be more powerful in this world than you are in the next one. But I won't tell anybody if you won't.
Well, she learns to harness it.
Yeah. Which leaves us with Hannah.
I mean, for Ellie, it's kind of individual moments for me, particularly because Ellie, like Sarah kind of said, Ellie's such a relationship type of character. Like that's kind of her whole. That's everything about her. Really is about working with other people and how she can build them up and how it makes her a better person. So I would say probably with Lucius, it would be like you mentioned, Kevin, the first scene that, you know, you kind of bared your soul, and it was kind of like, okay, well, here's the moment where you kind of got to talk this person out, because from an outsider looking in, it's like, well, no, how could you think that about yourself? And getting to try to help convince Lucius that he was not a useless person. That was a really, and it was early, and I was like, oh, this is how we role play in this game. All right, sounds good. We'll make people cry. Got it. For Ryan, it was definitely that moment when the two of us were walking around town, and you told me that Ellie reminded you of your daughter. Like that one stuck out to me for a lot of reasons. For one thing, it was a beautiful scene, and it explained a lot, but also it was such a good reconciliation of, you know, sometimes you can hurt somebody without meaning to, but once you kind of understand where they come from, it's easier. It doesn't make it right, but it's easier to forgive. So I think just the timing of that scene meant a lot to me and meant a lot to Ellie. For Alice, it was a bit lighter. It was the games at the carnival when she helped her get dressed and then you're dragging her around. That was just so fun, and it was such a sister moment that I was like, this is lovely.
Yeah.
It was so good. And it was such a light moment too, a very heavy campaign, which was
It was.
nice.
That's a good word for it. Heavy. Yeah.
And I mean, for Jet, like you said, like their dynamic was so beautiful and purely caring, which was really, really nice. And I think the first moment that stuck out to me was when I got pulled into Raven's world with you, because I don't think either of us expected or knew that was a thing that could happen. And that one was another moment of they just kind of had a fight, but then that was kind of their moment of, you know, it's what we're doing is bigger than that, and we can set that aside and we don't need to worry about that. So I think that was probably it for me. But I gotta say, one of the biggest standout moments of the entire campaign was you, Kevin, when Charlie was talking to Jet and said that he killed my dad, because a bit peek behind the curtain for everyone. In Ellie's backstory, Ellie had no idea who killed her father. She found out, she got a letter after she left home. She got a letter years later saying that Carson was on the run because everybody believed he killed her father. So she never believed it. She didn't believe he did, but she had no idea who killed, and neither did Hannah. So when you said he did, I was like, what? So I think that was probably the biggest plot twist I've ever been a part of. So I appreciate
Oh, wow.
it.
Thank you. Oh, wow. I appreciate the hell out of that. Thank you. That was, I'll take that all day. That was a really fun scene to do. Your backstory presented certain challenges, and I'm really glad I said yes to it. It was challenging, but I'm really glad we did it because it was amazing. And a lot of those really essential Ellie scenes came out of that. So thank you for that.
And the card pull on that one. Oh.
Do we even want to spend a minute talking about the dice and the cards and the way that they just went, no, we like where you're going with this here, have some success. That we failed when we should have failed. We succeeded when we should have succeeded. Yeah. So a quick nod to the yay of random number generators that aren't really random. So I guess that's the end of the official reminiscences, which is kind of weird because I guess now we kind of one more. Yeah, Sam.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to ask, like, what's your favorite Willie moment?
Oh, I miss Willie.
When he left.
I was a big fan of all of the
damn.
episodes he wasn't in.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot.
All right, I guess I'll cultivate like 3 or 4 for everybody. Sorry.
It's just personally my favorite was just when you kicked me right out of the train. Like, hang on to this, kicks me out.
Yeah, that was when he was riding on the train and he was like, woo!
Yeah.
Yep.
Lucius was like, I'll save you. He's like, nope, bye.
But I spent even more chips to survive.
Willie goes to hell. Yeah.
Willie
Goes to hell was a good moment. Although for me, and this moment is probably only in my head, the ultimate Willie moment is actually sort of like 10 years from now, and Willie's pushing 70. And him and Anastasia are sitting in a real big house in San Francisco up on a hill, and he's dandling like his 5th kid on his knee. That's the Willie image for me.
See, I think mine is Big Willie's Moving Picture Show.
Stop.
Well, yeah.
I was part of that. I hate it.
Oh, I just like how
I was
we
going to say
had-
the first thing I heard was "Go away, I ain't finished." But
I like me and Sky. That was right after she like basically told Jet what happened, and it was like this such a deep moment and so emotional. And then Willie's just like, I'm gonna mount this woman like a tree. And we're all like, oh God. Well, that just flipped.
And then he like left with Anastasia saying, I'm gonna find my own paradise, and just went away.
Yep. And
What
just
a fan.
There we
gone,
go.
yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
only legend chip I earned, and it was for a physical bit I did from
With the
drinking.
milk? Right, that was what I forgot to mention that. I wanted to mention that part.
Oh wow. So yeah, I guess the point of that is there's a lot more of those. We could probably do those all night, but that's nice to hit some high notes. And
Yeah.
but
It's also
what,
an example of literally I did one thing with a character and Kevin brought them back and ended up changing the course of the whole Willie storyline. Like that's just an example of like how little small things that you do as a character can really
Ooh,
affect the whole-
Anastasia was supposed to be a one-liner on the train. That's
Yeah.
all she was ever supposed to be.
speaking,
Her and the two hillbillies. I mean, she was in that class when we started, right? She wasn't anybody. So
Speaking
You
of
guys
which,
did
can we
that, so-
talk about? Can we talk about a? It's purely a theory, but can we
Yep.
talk about a Willie theory?
Oh God.
Ser-
sure, yeah.
Willie's from another dimension, and now that Poison Paradise disappeared back to its own dimension, and Willie put a baby in Anastasia, that is an interdimensional baby that we believe may be Marty, but we don't know. It's a theory, a Willie theory.
Can neither confirm nor deny. Anyway.
Anywho,
Okay. So, I guess this is kind of where we put these characters on one more time, a little bit, because I think the first question is right after it ended and it started to rain and it washed all the filth away. And those zombie-like people who are going to take months to recover were being helped out of the amphitheater by your aunt and all of her friends who were in the City of Hope. Is there anything that anybody wants to do right then? Sam?
If you recall, I did.
Lucius, yeah, you actually said, yeah.
So this is going to be interesting. He actually does this properly and gets on one knee and asks you again, will you marry me?
You said that there was something in her pocket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that a ring?
Yeah.
She's gonna kind of grab your hand and pull you up to your feet. And she's gonna say, I just found out who I really am. I think you just found out who you are, and you have a family and a world that you need to figure out. But that doesn't mean that you're losing me.
Well, you are always welcome in my family's home.
And
You will always be my friend.
she'll give you the ring back, and she'll say, one day you're gonna meet someone, and that ring is gonna fit perfectly.
Yeah.
Puts it
So-
away.
Yeah. Anybody else in that moment?
I'm just talking to Raven and Scorpio, not anything particular, just clearing up what I'll be doing.
Yeah. So speaking of which, why don't we start with you then? In the next sort of X many days, like starting from right now, what does Jet do? This is the actual epilogue. This is where we're actually going to start talking about what's next.
So he'll essentially clear up with Raven and Scorpion, he'll obviously he agrees to carry on whatever they want to teach him. That's all he's ever really wanted. And so, he'll probably clear up and verify what that means. Are there other entities that are a part of their family that he's supposed to go around and essentially do the same thing where they come into him and like become a part of him? And if so, he will agree to that. But there's a very key conversation he has with Alice and Ellie together, saying, I know y'all are headed to London, and actually, am I just telling this, or do I need to do this scene?
Let's do this in sort of like, this is that chapter at the end that said what happened next. So yeah, let's do it. The third person's fine. Just tell us what he did. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll be here for the rest of our lives, right?
Gotcha. So he has this conversation with Alice and Ellie where he says, my little brother is in a lot of trouble if he doesn't get out of the situation he's in. And as much as I want to be the one to help him, I just don't know if I'm the best choice. And he essentially tells them, using the money and such that he had given Ellie, if they'd be amenable to it, to take his brother to London with them for a better education and an opportunity to learn. And also essentially for the time while he's there, like he's explaining that, bring him back later whenever y'all make it back this way, but essentially to be raised there to a certain degree until he gets back, while Jed is out essentially becoming a shaman and eventually stopping the Suggins gang, which seems to have taken a little bit of a back seat at this point, but it's still on the to-do list.
Well, just I want to tick off one box for you. The offer essentially is they want you to take this natural-based magic into this new modern world. And the reason they want you to do it is because they don't know how. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you don't know how just means that you're starting where they already are.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the two of you hear that? Because this requires a response. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll take him. They discuss it, and that's
absolutely. So you guys can track him down over some period of time, but for the purposes of that. Anything, what else in the next couple days? Jet, anything else?
Oh, sorry, me. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, really the plan for Jet for the foreseeable future is he'll see everybody off until Prescott. Like his plan is from here, help out where he can whenever essentially Alice and Ellie are planning on making their journey back, which I assume that Lucius and Baptiste will be there too, but if not, that's different. But whenever they're making their way back, his stop is in Prescott to essentially help them get his brother. And then from there, he's going to essentially just ride off into the sunset to go learn more about natural magic and what he can.
Okay. So that's where we'll leave him for right now. That's sort of same period of time. Alice? Lady Alice O'Hare?
Yeah. So Alice knows about Jet's brother. So that's one of the reasons why she so readily agrees. But yeah, in that next kind of week, I guess, she offers to everyone, look, she doesn't say I'm taking the ship, but she basically is I want the ship, and she'll pay them a share for it, pay them each a share for it, since they acquired it together. And she offers to she'll fly anyone wherever it is that they need to go. If there's somewhere that they need to go, she offers to fly anyone wherever. And then after that's all said and done, she goes home, which I assume Ellie and Jet's brother with her at this point would be the last thing she does. She goes home and Basically tells her dad to fuck off.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's completely legit. Yeah,
Yep.
sets off
and-
on her own.
Yep. And then she sends a letter to Miss Kitty to let her know where she is, and she sends a letter to London to try to locate Dan Comfort.
Okay, and we'll find out how that goes shortly. Lucius. This should be interesting.
I imagined he would not stay too long. He would obviously go on his trip with Baptiste on their adventure. But before doing that, he would probably stay home a bit and just reconnect with his family and friends that who went through all that trauma. He probably would try to find Edward if he could and reconcile a few things possible.
He's there if you want him to be.
Okay. Well, basically, out of all the guilt and stuff that he went through, that Grimm put him through, right? The one thing he does know that was his fault was not saying goodbye to Edward before he tried to leave and get married. So they reconciled and they talked a bit and tried to figure out the pieces, like what was real and what wasn't and stuff, what Grimm had and hadn't done. So just trying to rebuild that friendship and try to write each other as often as possible. And perhaps it would grow into something else in the future. So
yeah, this is only the first couple days. So yeah, you sort of reconcile with your family and him. Yeah. Okay.
The other thing is I get two things one from my mother and one from my father. This is some key things to different adventures that he would go on to. One is a lotus tablet. On the front of it, it's rainbow, but on the back of it has actually his mother's name. And it says on the back, it says the Hidden Lotus City. So she encourages him to go back their origin. There was a reason why she left and to discover it for himself. The other is a letter from his uncle Lucas saying, "Come work for me at the London Occult Society of Magical Preservation." So those two things in mind, he tucks them away, and he would go on his journey, of course, with
over this period of time, your parents would not have recovered yet. It's going to be months before the people in those front couple rows come back. Your aunt has seen this before, so most of your family interaction would be with her. They're sort of out of the game right now. But she also says to you, this means you have months to resolve what you need to resolve before they're going to wake up.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
We'll stop there for now then. Yeah. That's just, like I said, we just want that first sort of week or so. Ellie? What happens next? Like immediately next?
Yeah, I mean, of course, after she shoots down Lucius.
Yeah.
I mean, she agrees to help Jet with his kid brother and everything, of course. She gets that. And she's also going to, while everybody's still here, because she knows people are going to be leaving pretty soon, and everyone's separating, she's going to give Alice the Queen of Diamonds. She's going to give Jet the Jack of Hearts. She's going to give Lucius the Jack of Spades and Baptiste the Jack of Clubs. And she's just going to say, this way, we're always connected, and we're always going to have each other's backs if we need it.
And every one of those cards has your faces on it. Anything else in the next couple of days?
I think she's just going. The only other thing that she's going to do is she's going to send a letter to her friend Taylor, and just let her know, I'm still alive. I think I've sorted out what I needed to sort out and find what I need to find. We'll keep in touch. And she'll send that off.
Absolutely. And Baptiste, 30-year-old, got a date with destiny. Like this was a big day, but there's an even bigger one at some unknown future date.
Yeah.
It's giving you a reprieve. So what happens right away?
I think over the next few days, just sort of is helping his friends and all of that kind of stuff. He makes it clear to folks that he'll, because if people are heading to London, the dirigible that we have is very nice, but it seems as though you probably are going to leave from New York. So he'll ride. He'll be on the train or whatever it is that we do, pretty much until Kansas City. But at that point is when he'll end up needing to say his goodbyes to everybody. Although it sounds like he says bye to Jet sooner in Arizona.
I might ride to New York. Who knows?
Either way.
Press either way, and kind of to Jet lets him know, to hold on to that coin as long as it's not too heavy to carry, and if it ever gets too heavy, just toss it, and he'll come find it someday. Don't worry about getting it back to him or passing it on to anybody else. I think that there's probably a moment where, whether it's on the train, because the dirigible's nice, but the trains are much nicer. And considering the fanciness of a really nice train cabin, I sort of picture somewhere around Kansas City when he's leaving, there's a moment with Miss Alice, sort of just we kind of always knew this couldn't last or go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point he does sort of laugh and sort of says, Miss Alice, even before all of this, you did make me feel young again.
Yeah, and she's in agreement. She's felt the same way about it. And when he says that, she would kiss him and say, and I always will.
He does take kind of a moment with Miss Alice, and then and if he's still around, so it's up to you, Skylar. But considering the last he ever heard, and hearing the plan of raising your younger brother in London, he does say to Ellie and Alice, please don't take any offense if I probably leave London off the map for a while. He'll find other things until eventually these contracts have a way of expiring. And then he offers, at the end of these few weeks or month or so, he offers, if he's still up for it, for Lucius to join him. Actually, he's got maybe 2 or 3 months worth of stuff that needs doing. And the interchange at Kansas City, he books a train. He books a train for San Antonio, Texas.
All right. Well, that's our first lap. So why don't we, because that ties in, so why don't we do the next lap backwards? So you bought those tickets over the next couple months. Lucius, are you staying with him for the entire duration of this adventure?
Oh yeah, we're going on cross country.
Yeah. So go ahead, Baptiste. Tell us about this trip. This is the next couple months or so.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. getting into Texas, and whether or not it's just the weight of everything. Baptiste is much more. Lucius probably notices Baptiste is much more like the old man they met. That the weariness and the weight of what it is. The family has broken up now. And Baptiste is back to doing what he does, which is essentially he's this bounty hunter that's guided by these coins. And he spends a few months in the in Texas, and he hunts down 6 people, and each time is, one of them is a duel, high noon sort of thing. One of them is a shootout in a field, and they're hiding behind hay bales. Everything is it's all very different, but it culminates in meeting up with just this old man. Like, it looks like he probably would have been the same age as Baptiste back when they first met. The guy doesn't put up much of a fight. There's no fight to get into his ranch. And it looks like he's almost sitting there waiting for him. Along the way, Baptiste would have told Lucius, because I think they spend time. He tries to teach Lucius how to shoot and how to sort of read these signs, incorporate a little as much of the occult as Lucius is willing to learn. He sort of teaches, and but when he gets into this old man's cabin one evening, I guess if Lucius is looking around, he sees a bunch of old wanted posters and like articles of Confederation, not the Confederate, but what it takes to organize outside of the regular states. Baptiste looks at this old man sitting in a chair, and says, "Well, Stephen, I promised you I'd be back." And if Lucius notices, there's actually the picture of the 5 of us sitting on this guy's mantle. And the old man nods, and Baptiste asks, "Are you ready?" And they fire at each other at practically the same time. And the old man's just as fast as Baptiste is. Baptiste takes a shot in the shoulder, and you see the guy's chest explode. And Baptiste walks over and he takes the picture off of the mantle. And Lucius, if you look around, you can see a big framed, like, giant thing. This is the man that he just shot is Stephen Austin, Stephen F. Austin, the man who founded the Texas Rangers. And it's the man who introduced Baptiste into the world of the supernatural and got Baptiste's soul mixed up in all of this. And that's the last man. And I'd like to think if it's not too much, as he's walking past Austin's body, one of the coins falls out of his pocket.
Sure.
And he picks it up.
Yeah.
Puts it in his pocket.
Yeah. Absolutely, it does. For anybody who missed it, wasn't real obvious in the story. That's putting it politely. Baptiste spent a fair amount of this series harrowed, and then wasn't anymore by the end. So anybody who missed that, that's probably the key to that.
Yeah, I think
there
there's a
anything
little
you-
bit of a spoiler coming up in a future Hero Forge. But yeah, while it never explicitly got stated,
Yeah.
Baptiste, when he joined the party, Baptiste was harrowed in his late 60s, but Baptiste himself was not sure how old he was and was probably close to 100 years old. He was born well in the 1700s.
So is there anything you would like to add to that, Lucius, that you went along with him on this journey? You're muted.
I like to imagine that they went on all sorts of like adventures, and it was kind of like a Mr. Miyagi kind of like thing where I just learned as
very
much as I can
like you
from
said.
him.
Yep. Yep.
Wax on, wax off. I love it.
Yeah.
And
Perfect.
a little side thing does happen along the way. This was the time before any of him met Lucius, when he went job to job. He had they stopped accidentally, passed by a burlesque place by the name of House of Lady Luck and her Royal Flash Gals and Pals. And yes, so Lucius looks all
I want
kind of
that
like,
to be a real place so bad.
right? I know. Anyway, so he's kind of looking embarrassed, and it's like, I used to work there, and I own money, and I got to take care of this. You can stay out here if you want, but I imagine you're kind of too curious, and you might just come along and check this out. What would you do? So-
I didn't ride to Texas to kill 6 men and not watch a show.
So as he goes in, it's just like he goes to Lady Luck herself. And this place is fabulous. It looks like a awesome Pride Parade party, okay? I'm not kidding. It is amazing, beautiful, burlesque, and all sorts of awesome things are going on, like shows and performances. He tries to offer the money to Lady Luck, and she's like, "No, I'm not taking it until you do what you were supposed to do before you left." It's like, "Is the old uniform in the back?" It's like, "Yes, it's with Miss Starfish. She'll help you. She'll help you get suited up." So, 15 minutes later, he goes on. This beautiful woman goes on stage that you would swear was Lucius's twin sister, but you realize it's Lucius himself, doing feather dances and like knife tricks and stuff. To the point where you're offered to come on the stage and do a little performance yourself. So we're just doing all sorts of tricks and stuff like that, and just having a party. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
he even took a
That
photo.
is the perfect. Yeah.
There's a photo that ends the night. There's a couple copies that I think you would give out to everyone or myself, where I'm dressed in drag. By the way, my drag name is, and it was given by Robin Starfish herself, is Loose Down Under, by the way. Traditionally, you have to get your drag name
Doesn't
from a
that
drag
mean-
queen.
Doesn't that mean that the full name is Loose Starfish Down Under? Because don't you put the person who gave
Not
you the
necess-
name in the middle?
Not necessarily. Well, maybe actually, I have to talk to Miss Starfish.
You know
about
what?
that.
I think
Loose
that's what Miss
Starfish Down
Starfish.
Under
I
is-
think that's what Miss Starfish told me.
Yeah.
Contact your doctor.
Anyway, to conclude this thing quickly,
Yes.
there's a picture of, I imagine, Baptiste with his guns out like this, Lady Luck
Yeah.
and myself just like
With your guns out. Yeah, I
just
got you.
shoulder to shoulder to him in the middle, and just
Yeah.
yeah. So and you just
Love it.
we postcard
Yep.
them to everyone, all our friends.
Nice.
Oh, there we go. Look at that epilogue fan art opportunity of the night.
Yeah.
So far. So far.
That's just only the 6 month. I have a 10-year
Yeah.
plan here. We'll get to that.
Perfect. Well, speaking of the next 6 months, 2 of you are going to be together. So let's break this pattern here, and let's do Jet next. because you got to get to Prescott, right? And you get your brother on the airship with these two. Then what?
If everybody, because originally I thought everybody would have broken up sooner and gone different ways, but if everybody's doing like, you know, a New York drop off and farewell, then I will ride there and I'll catch up with my brother and let him know, like, these are two people I trust very much that are going to be taking care of you, and just talking them up. And I will ride to New York with them and do my farewell there.
Sure.
Also, quick point that I need to clear up just for clarification. Lucius, did you, or was it implied that it just happened automatically? Because Scorpion said, I'll take that back from you when you're done. Was that a moment where after it was done, it just went away, or did he give it back? Like what?
Oh, thank you for reminding me of this.
Yeah,
The
that's a good
gun
point.
disappears, but there is the image of Scorpion burned into the palm of your hand. Sorry, your left hand, because you're left-handed.
Right.
So the gun disappeared, but Scorpion has still left his mark on you. But it's only a mark. There's no power. Neither one of you ended up being beholden to Scorpion.
Hey, I like the mark.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna give the gun to Jet possibly, but that works too.
So yeah, then when we get off in New York, I'll say my farewells, and I'm already in New York, so
Yep.
I might as well. I was gonna maybe wait, but I'll go ahead and start hunting down, looking for the Suggins gang and trying to take them down. Maybe I'll find the 99th precinct up here and work with them. I don't know.
I was just going to ask you, the skills you have tracking these low life down is going to be startlingly easy. I want to know how Jet deals with them. You said call the local. Does he?
Wait, what does that mean? To be honest with you, I don't know what called the local.
Do you call the cops? Right? Do you?
Oh,
do
yeah,
you turn them into the authorities, or do you find them in a back alley and blow their brains out all over the wall? That's basically what I'm asking.
I will work with the local jurisdiction. I will go to them and essentially say, "Do you have any leads?" And I will kind of get an update on
Absolutely, yeah.
what force is warranted, and I will probably turn them all in. But depending on the context, I would probably kill Blaine Suggins for what he did in our town. So
Because these guys have come to New York and they're just another of a long line of gangs in New York. The police want them off the streets. They're doing the same sort of crap here that they were doing there. So they will gladly help you. They will also gladly turn their back if they show up there.
yeah, so
So you take Blaine,
yeah.
give the rest of them to the police. Okay.
Yep.
I like that. That's very Jet. Part of it's very personal, but most of it's the rules. So
Yep.
which leaves Alice and Ellie on a boat with Jet's little brother.
Yes.
What do you guys do? This is now we're talking like period of months here. So.
Like 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alice, she picks up Jet's brother. She does a very short trip home, and basically
the daddy
says goodbye to her dad. She sends a letter to the dean of her school, asking him to help her hunt down her mom, and advising, like, letting him know, like I'm leaving the States, but if you I'll contact you with where I settle, but like I would like you to try to find my mom. And then they periodically fly the ship and then meet up with people, and then they fly the ship out from New York, and she right before they land, because she upgrades it, she's added she's added some partitions, and
it's the transatlantic version for sure.
Yeah. Right before they kind of land in London, she steps out and she she basically asks Ellie, "Hey, remember that time in Los Angeles when I went into that shop and I came out and I didn't have anything in my hand?" And she steps out, and she is wearing her like this dress that's black with trim, and she says, "Need you to know that from here on out, my name will be Jessica Harrington."
Ellie's gonna like take a second and be like, "That makes a lot of sense."
Alice doesn't know what that means, but yeah, and she lands down in London and spends some time trying to find Dan Comfort.
Very easily doable.
Yeah, and she also meets this strange little man that she doesn't quite know what his deal is, but I'll fill you in on that in 20 years.
All right. I have one question before I ask what Ellie's take on that story is. Do you go to look for Chessie at any point in this first 6 months?
First 6 months, no.
Okay.
Because she's trying to get settled before she does that.
Okay. Well, Ellie, you were on this trip with her. You saw her tell off her dad, look for her mom, improve the craft. The two of you have got Jet's very clearly troubled little brother with you. What would you like to add to what was just said?
Well, I think she spends a lot of the trip there, especially talking to him. Because, Sky, how old is your brother?
I think he was about 7 or so years younger than me, so he was probably like 13, 14, I think, because I'm in my 20s. So we'll just say 13, 14, yeah. Okay.
So,
narratively, I want him older than that. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I want him older than that. So, yeah.
Okay.
I assumed that you were like 26 and he was like 19.
Maybe it was then. Maybe that's where it is. Maybe he's
that's where the numbers are in my head. I don't know. But
so let's say he's like 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, granted, Carson was younger than that, but Ellie's no stranger to badmouth and troubled past little brothers. So, but she spends a lot of time being very, very patient and just spending time with him and listening to him and talking to him the whole trip, just making sure that she gets him as best as she possibly can. And she's also going to, on that trip, she's going to finish that book that or at least she's going to be continuing to work on that book that she started in City of Los Angeles. And then when she gets there, I don't know if you have a different take, Sarah, but I imagine the girls, at least for a while, like they're just living together, surviving the town. And she's going to help Alice pretty much wherever Alice needs help, and she's going to spend a lot of time with Jet's brother. But she's also going to enroll herself in school, and she's going to start putting herself through school in London.
I love it. One thing I want to ask while I've got you here, Hannah/Ellie, you said in the last episode that when I gave you, like, here's time, you can change it. You said you made your brother's life better. Can you articulate that? Can you tell us what you did?
I came in a couple of years.
Okay, perfect. I love it. Okay. Speaking of which, I think that's the 6 months. I think that's everybody had a chance. So let's use that segue and go right back to you then. A couple of years have passed now.
So Ellie, she's going to stay in London for a couple of years until she feels that, first before she puts herself through school, and so that she has at least a basic education, and she's going to take a couple courses specifically in language.
Yeah.
And then when she feels that his brother's, at least found himself at a place that he is happy and is himself, he's not being controlled by any emotions or rage or anything. And she held to Alice throughout that time, but after a couple of years, she's going to give him the option to go back to the States with her to hopefully meet up with Jet and just kind of start doing her own thing. But before she goes, she's going to go to a little cottage outside in England. And there's a man there. He's with his wife, who Ellie recognizes. They've known each other. Carson and this woman met when Carson decided to go to university abroad. His two loving parents decided to encourage him to go there. And they hoped he would meet some friends because he was a little shy kid because he didn't have any siblings, so he wasn't used to people. So he went there and he met this woman, and they have two young boys. And when Ellie gets there, she sees that they're holding a baby shower. And there's a lot of pictures there that are saying, "Congrats on baby Hope." And Ellie leaves a book on the doorstep. And it's a book called Poison Paradise. And it's a kid's book. It's made for teenagers, young adults. And it's the story of these 5 adventurers and what they did. It's made so that anybody can read it. But it tells the story based on this woman named Ellie and what she did with her friends, so that little Hope can grow up believing in friendship and believing in the values of you can do anything if you have the right people, and just pulling on those happy memories that you have. You can defeat any problem, and you're never really alone.
Thank you. Again. Whew. Alice.
Okay, so how many years is this?
As many as you need.
Okay. I'm gonna do a couple quick jumps. So
Yeah.
she looks for Chessie.
Yep.
And will continue
find
to
him.
look for him. Oh, she finds him?
Yep. Absolutely. This is your story.
Oh.
You want to find him, you find him.
Cool. So that happens. And so I guess if she finds him while Ellie's still around, she'll have him help Ellie with her magic. Because and kind of all of that. And like I said, she met up with this little weird man that kind of didn't act like he was from this time. And it ends up being Wendell Gearstrip. And Alice actually is the silent partner and a financial backer, assuming that her photography business takes off.
Of course, yeah.
Is the silent partner and financial backer of Gearstrip Industries. Because he saw them fly in on this airship. And,
Sure he did.
And she ends up backing that. And then a cut to like 10 years later, and she's like working with some people, doing her investigative reporting thing, and she gets a telegram that I'm so sorry. I'm gonna tie up a couple of things here, all in one go.
Please.
She gets a telegram that one of their most, like their most famous, their flagship Zeppelin, the Egret, has crashed over the Atlantic, and leaving one person alive. A man by the name of Robin, who is a who is a witch finder. And she goes to, sorry, I just saw the chat message. And she goes to seek him out and join him on his adventures. So for anybody that doesn't know, I just decided the ending to my table flip that I did in Clockwork.
Yep. We all crashed and died, yeah.
Except for Robin.
But I have no regrets.
Yes. Yeah, so that's that, and that's kind of where I'm gonna leave Alice. Is she gets that message, and she goes and works, and she goes and finds Robin. And if you want to know the rest, you can go watch our Clockwork series, and you can see exactly what Alice does.
I have a question for you. Did you find Dan Comfort, or can I find him for you?
I imagine she found him at some point.
Okay. Because all I was going to say was he is, in my head, he was pretending to be a witch finder so that he could expose because he's always doing exposés, right? So he can expose what's really going on in the Witchfinder Association.
Oh my God. Is Dan Comfort Nathaniel too?
Not really, no.
That would
No,
be so
not quite.
funny.
But yes, there's that. So, yes. So,
Yeah.
You end up famous, rich, London,
Mm.
all the bells and whistles.
But as Jessica
Your own steamship
Harrington.
company. But this Jessica Harrington. Nobody ever hears of Alice O'Hare again except for Jesse, because he knows.
Yep.
So, Jet, this is the long haul. This is what I'm really interested in. What do you do?
I mean, once that's tied up, it's pretty simple for me. I essentially just go. I want to be introduced to more of the entities similar to Raven and Scorpion. I've already met one of her brothers that was back in Poison Paradise. I think he was the wolf.
Yep.
But essentially, I just want to travel around the country, just getting in touch and learning everything I can of that natural magic and just everything about what they have to teach me about that world. And I mean, that's really the long goal. I'm sure there's tons of adventures. Wherever there's wrong to be righted, I will step in. But there's no specifics past that point. I will run into Ellie again and find my brother, and I will thank her and catch up with her for a bit. But, you know,
I think it's fair to say she put your brother back together again.
And I'm so thankful for that. But that's something I always knew she was good at, because she always made sure that I never fell apart. And God knows I would have multiple times.
You did multiple times. So yes, I would have you traveling all over. One place in particular, we never really touched on it because we never really got there. There's an area on the map called the Coyote Confederation, and it is known for being a very mystical and spiritual place. So I would suggest you probably spend some time.
Definitely.
So yeah. Okay. So, Mudkip, no. This is learning from. This isn't absorbing. So, no, he's not becoming the spiritual clown car. So, you guys stuck together for a little while, but 10, 20 years down the road. Let's do Baptiste first.
All right. By 20 years down the road, I think Baptiste has he's collected a number of the coins. That's sort of he's realized these bounties, but he still has I'd say 20 years from now he's got about 16 or 17 of them. They keep getting harder to find. The beings that keep them are more difficult and more difficult. And he does get a letter one day from Lucius, and decides that it's a good time to take a break, and actually meets Lucius in San Francisco and spends, I think, quite a while adventuring. And by that point, Lucius is there's no teacher pupil to this. They're pretty much equals to a lot of it. But I think Lucius knows how all of that ends up. I just know that at the end of it, with thanks to some divine intervention and the wonderful powers of your tinkering skills, Baptiste he comes back to the States, and his whole left arm is an collection of gears and cogs. He loses his arm in this adventure in this unknown place, and Lucius builds him a new arm.
Nice. And I like to think that at the end, when Baptiste is finally done, when it's finally time to go, he's got a date with Baphomet.
Oh, he's working towards that one.
You still got that? Okay, I'll shut up.
I
then.
still got
right,
that one in the bag, but yeah.
All right, we'll hold that one.
He's getting there.
Perfect. Excellent.
But no,
right.
Lucius has the big story of what we did.
Yes, the 20-year reunion. Lucius, take us from where we were out to that.
Well, quite a bit does happen because after his adventure with his friends, he dedicates his life to bettering himself and just trying to make things better for everyone, especially his friends, sharing the riches and that he would soon get. Right. So, as I mentioned, he would write about his adventures that he went with Baptiste. Best-selling book, of course. Lucius' Fables became a top selling favorite. Yeah. He would write about the adventure when he went to the Hidden Lotus City, a hidden city that was a metropolis, Asian steampunk, that the lost city of China, basically, with automatons and ornithopters everywhere. Here he would master his skills into automatons and even a bit of martial arts, so he could punch for shit. He would, of course, every adventure he would write about or invite his friends, so they would always be welcome to come if they wanted to. He would go back to London, to his father's homeland, where he would work and be tutored under his uncle Lucas to work for him of the London Occult Society for Magical Preservation. This would spark him to open something very big in the future. But before we get to that, he would start a business as well. And he found two extraordinary gentlemen, brightest minds of their time. Although getting them along he said it was more difficult than the California catastrophe with Grimm. Anyway, the company would be called Glory, Tesla, and Edison's Emporium. With the imagination of Tesla himself making great all sorts of extraordinary inventions, and Edison, of course, had a good head for business. It was a match made in heaven. And
he stole all your ideas and copyrighted them himself.
He made sure that didn't happen. So, but the steampunk era would end, and the Tesla era would begin with electronics and stuff like that, of all sorts. He would, of course, make all his friends, all of you, into shareholders. Whatever you want. You don't have to run the business, but you're set for life. But basically, he said, even though probably all of you are more richer, doesn't hurt to be richer. So, at that point, this eventually he would actually his lifelong dream would finally come into place when he would open up an academy. Actually, this academy he would name after his best friend. It would be called St. Baptiste's Academy for the Strange and Unusually Gifted, inviting all who were all miracle workers, all hucksters, all shaman, like any magical folk to come and just to learn. He introduced what he called to the hucksters the alley philosophy of empathy, among other things and stuff. There's like grand statues of his friends and paintings, and he invited all his friends if they wanted to be a part of this, if they wanted to perhaps help out. There was a portal that they invented that would go anywhere that they needed, so in and out whenever they please with the academy. But one day, something strange happened. A man was wandering in the academy, and he comes up to Lucius, and he says to him, "Oh, hey, could you help me out here? I'm kind of lost. My name is Carl. Could you help me out here? Well, good sir, you're in the right place, here at the St. Baptiste Academy."
Wow. Oh.
I got Lord
You got
Puck's
permission. I
permission.
know you did. I know you did. I know you. Oh, that is wonderful. And great voice, by the way. Nice work. You got a well done from Puck, by the way. So here, take one of those. Take a legend chip for that, for whatever it's worth.
There's one thing I want to mention, and this is just
Yep.
in your honor, Kevin, so if I may. So this is before all that. This is like this is like the 10-year mark where he's in his prime. Yep. He is fucking just like has all his everything is shit together, all that, right? So yep. He's on a rescue mission to stop the Jenga brothers. It's a hostage situation. He camps in front of the road, waiting for them, with his pocket watch out, and they say, "Who the hell are you?" Basically, he says like, "Are you the Jenga brothers? You're right on time." It's like, "Who are you?" They ask him again. It's like, "Well, my friends call me the magician." It's like, "Magician." They all start laughing at him. "Oh, shall I show you a trick? I will make 4 of you disappear, gentlemen." It's like they laugh even harder. It goes 3, 2, 1, snaps his finger, and then 4 coffins encase for half of the group and like bury them all. He's still running towards them, takes some pieces that were just junk and it assembles to a knife, throws it at the leader. This distracts him. Then he says, "Lou, Eddie, the scorpion, and the spider automaton, to my hands," and they assembled the claws, right? He slashes at one guy, takes him down. The other 2 take out some guns, ready to shoot him. Lightning fast, he takes out his trusty shovel that turns into a scythe and just knocks them out and takes them out. Then he hears the sound of a gun cocking. It's the hostage. Space covered by a burlap sack. Says, "I've heard of you. You're that strange guy that never uses guns." It's like, "Oh, is that so?" And then within seconds, he like puts his fingers out like this and goes bang bang. A hidden gun out of his sleeve comes and shoots the guy twice. But I thought he goes, stops him and says to him, like, "I had all Texas think, you know, a magician never reveals his tricks. But you know, I go by another name, the Undertaker." So he knocks him out, and all the Jenga brothers are taken down. He goes to help the hostage, takes the burlap sack, unknots unbounds him. He helps him pick up the books. And he notices something strange. These are all books that his friends may have written, including one of his own. Inside are 4 signatures, except for his own. And he says to the gentleman, "You're missing a signature." It's like, and the man says, "Yeah, how would you know?" "Well, I wrote it." It's like, "You're Lucius Glory." "No, Lucius Glory can't punch worth shit, and he has a stupid hat." "First off," he says to him, looks at his mission paper, "Marshal Kevin." What kind of name is that for a marshal? It's like, "That hat was fetching, I'll have you know. It's been slined, burnt, and cut. And who told you I couldn't punch? Was it Jet?" Kevin, Marshal Kevin says, like, "I was Miss Alice." "Oh, of course she would. She'd probably tell me to get the head out of my ass." Anyway, he snaps his fingers again to collect the bounty. The coffins come out again. They grow. They sprint little like legs, and they start stacking. Right. One of the unconscious Jenga brothers wakes up, runs for his life, knocking over the stack of wood blocks, and goes, "Oh, Jenga shit." And he then goes, "It's a stuff for fuck's sake." So then he calls out for one of his automatons, a big giant blue bear by the name of Willie, to fetch the last guy. He takes Marshal Kevin and says, "Hey, I know a good water hole not far from here. Why don't we take a few drinks? I complete your signature in your books, and I'll tell you a tale of poison in paradise." And that's pretty much what he goes through in his 20 years.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wasn't expecting to be in any of the stories today. So I believe I've gotten all confused. We've got Ellie and Baptiste left, right? For the 20 years or for the long run down the road? I got all distracted. Somebody help me.
I got one last thing, but I don't need to go anytime soon.
Okay.
So yeah. Go for Ellie.
Yeah. So you had one more thing too.
Yeah. So after Ellie gets back to after she gets back to the States and reunites Jet with his brother, she's going to spend a lot of time. She finishes her studies on languages and works hard to be able to be fluent in several, maybe with a little bit of a magical help.
Sure.
And probably some of her adventures she does with Jet, especially if they're magic related, she'll bring them along. But she travels all over the place, and she uses her cards to find places of conflict. And she goes in, she finds anywhere, places wars are beginning, places where magical beasts are starting problems. Probably she'll get Jet to help her. She gets Jet to teach her kind of what he's been learning magic-wise. But she goes in and tries to diffuse situations from all over the world. Sometimes she uses magic in particular to protect herself, but most of the time she doesn't, and she never uses magic to harm a living thing, not once in her life. So she travels around and uses her just ability to diffuse situations and tries to stop wars from breaking out and try to stop any bad magical Baphomets from rising up again. And she ends up, most people who don't know who she is, she kind of becomes a bit of an urban legend of this person who just appeared out of nowhere, somehow getting into places she definitely shouldn't be able to get into. And she's known as the Peacemaker. But for anybody who is in the magic community and kind of knows a bit more, they can identify her by the Queen of Hearts that's tattooed on her wrist, and she's known as the Queen of Hearts. And so that's what she does for 20 years, and she spends a lot of it with Jet, again, especially if it's magical related. The two of them handle a lot of that. And she also will come, and when Lucius starts up his academy, she'll come and give people some of her own advice on magic, in particular of how to use it to protect someone. And she also, her main message that she tries to spread everywhere is the importance of making memories and holding on to those memories. And anytime that you're in a bad situation, to use those memories to improve yourself and to improve your thoughts, because that's how she solves nearly every situation she's in. That's how her magic works, is feeling the memories and in particular, the emotions memories bring. So that she figures out that about her magic, and that's how it works. And so she teaches people a lot at the academy about the importance of not using magic just for violence, but using it as a way to stop violence and to protect someone. And she also complains a lot about that statue, Lucius. She does not like a statue of herself.
That may be the most Ellie thing you have ever said.
In fact, I think she puts a card on it, and it shrinks down, and it just it's now just a statue of a. She's gonna make a statue of a raven in honor of Jet. But every time she comes by, if that statue comes back, she turns it into a various different type of animal.
Yeah,
anytime she comes and visits.
As a prank, he probably would replace it just to bug you.
Every time she changes it. She also calls after many years, she also calls Lucius her. They never get married, but she calls Lucius her honorary husband. And when she's at the academy, she goes by Mrs. Glory. Only there, nowhere else. But at the academy, she goes by Mrs. Glory.
Amazing. Baptiste, you had a thing, I believe.
So, I figured the way the way I wanted to finally wrap up these coins in Baphomet, and I do believe, Marshal Kevin, that you do have the Roll20 up, just so.
I do so. Yep.
And I figured, because I'm not gonna burn a bunch of time on this one, but so many years have passed. Baptiste has made lots of new friends and had people that feel almost like family, but really not quite as much as this group. But now that the time has passed, whether it was because Jet got rid of it or kept it until the very end, eventually he goes and collects that coin when Jet is no longer using it. He's collected all 29 coins. He's finally hunted down the last one, knowing that once he collects the 30th coin, Baphomet will show up and they'll have their duel. And so the smoke rises off of the end of his favorite gun, his ghost steel pistols from back in his Poison Paradise days fell apart and were no longer usable a long time ago. But he likes this one. Shoots lasers, reminds him of the ones that Alice and Jet found. And as this hulking creature sort of falls over the edge of the railing down to the steel and concrete below, he walks over and he picks up the coin. And he turns around, looks up through the glass skylights of Ganymede Station to see Jupiter rising above. Can hardly believe it's been 300 years since he's made that bet. Puts the 30th coin in his pocket and sees Baphomet and says, "Well, I suppose one way or the other, I'll finally get some rest." And I really want to just leave this up to decide whether or not which way he goes. So Marshal Kevin, if you'll just draw one card and put it on the table. And I'm going to make you go first, because otherwise you would change the card for story reasons.
No, I'm not going to do any such thing. I'm going to draw that card and I'm going to put it right out there. Deal. One card to the Marshal.
All right. What you got?
3 of spades. The old man's not ready. The devil himself, you got the drop on him.
King of clubs. Not quite the jack, but he appreciates the
Nope.
irony of the clubs.
Yeah.
And as his shot rips through Baphomet, and he feels the age hit him as the weight lifts. He there on some space station out on a moon. He very, very much has a smile on his face as he takes his last breath and gets to go home.
Just to go home. Wow. Thank you. Anybody else?
I don't have anything other than that I definitely would have been a part of Lucius's academy. Maybe not a permanent installment, but I definitely would have frequented there and taught and such. Passed on what I knew.
I also send money.
I wanted to say, I forgot to mention to you, if you ever wanted to, I imagined he probably offered if you wanted to be a partner of his company, but even just doing business would have been just fine. Because I'm sure
She would be a silent partner, man. She's like, look, there's the problem. My dad had one business adventure and he ruined it. So I'm gonna have multiple, so that even if something happens to one of them.
Yeah, Alice is the 1% in this world.
I agreed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
1%.
Yeah.
Puck says you get a letter from Alice. It's an unsigned birthday card with $100.
Sends every year to each of us.
Yep.
But
Signed Alice's prime assistant.
No, Jessica's.
Jessica's prime
Jessica's.
assistant.
So, I think that's a good place to drop the end of that. Let's take a little break, little 15 minutes, have some breathing, and then how about we open it up and see if chat has anything they'd like to know? We are back. And we should do this one more time too. Let's go around the room and talk about what everybody's doing when they're not here. Sky, you're doing some actual things under Sky and not just working your backside off just for the mercs now, right?
Yep, doing my own content. If you head on over to YouTube at Noctum Sky, I'm playing games and making videos and such. And I had never played Skyrim, so I am doing a playthrough on Skyrim where I try to make a necromancer, and it is going well. So go check that out sometime. And then, yeah, also the stuff here on the mercs. I'm a warlock. Woo.
Well, more than a woo, we get to be warlocks for the first time in like a month, in a couple of days here.
So excited.
I know, right? Speaking of mercs of mischief, Sarah, you're over there as well, and you're also doing stuff here. So, but fill us in.
Yeah. Hey, it me. I'm Sarah, the production manager here, and I edit mostly is what I spend a lot of my time doing. And we have tomorrow something super relevant. We have our Hero Factory episode coming out where we make Le Baptiste.
Woo! Yeah! Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So come check that out. And then be sure to check out next week because it's going to get weird. It's on this. It gets real weird.
I likes weird. I likes weird a lot. I believe, though, yeah, we can skip down to Ryan. What are you guys up to?
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm Ryan. Sarah's all fancy with her. I'm Ryan. I'm also the executive officer here at Mercs of Mischief. But yeah, when I'm not here, I am at Roll4 Initiative on YouTube and Twitter and all that kind of fun stuff, making tons of videos. Today's video was so much fun to do. It was about painting. So if you love painting minis, it was a year year-long review of the Citadel contrast line, having painted with them for a year. The video isn't a year long. The video is fairly short. But yeah, so that was a fun one. That was a fun one to make. So yeah, go check out those videos. And then I don't know, I hope to be playing in something again soon here now that Deadlands is done.
Oh, I am sure. Yeah, actually the contrast paints, that is an interesting topic, because it's not the most obvious place to use them. So it's nice to have somebody that actually knows what they're doing and has used them for a while to go, no, this is the review. This is if they're worth it. Right. So good to hear. With that though, I think we can open up chat. If there's any of you out there, it says there's a bunch of people watching. You've been watching, some of you, 41 episodes of this. Any questions? I can't guarantee we'll answer them, but go ahead and ask. Any questions at all, just let us know. And while we're waiting for somebody to type anything in, anything anybody wants to say or add to the story that we've already told?
Yes. I have one.
Yeah.
I forgot earlier because it was like my biggest just like side eye look at someone in this game when Alice took Baptiste's freaking badge out of his jacket, and I'm just like, what?
I was hoping we could get through this with nobody bringing that up.
You
Look,
mean like
man.
that was way all that time long ago? Like, man, was that a day that I was sick? There was a couple of episodes, or was I not there that night? Or
You were in a scene. You were doing that scene with Hannah.
I was on the walk with
and you left
she
your
was
duster there.
uncomfortable, so you dropped everything because she was uncomfortable with you having weapons or anything. So you left them there to go walk with her.
Ellie was in on it. Ellie was in on it from the beginning.
She was like, "No,
right.
time to leave his stuff here."
Ellie and Alice have been into this since the start.
Right? They actually knew each other before.
They're the sisters.
That's why she was in the crate. She was part of Alice's luggage. That's the reveal that you've been waiting on the whole time.
Marshall, Kevin, can I explain why Ellie was in the crate?
Please do.
Oh yes, please.
I realized
after 41 episodes.
This is never explained. Ellie, I was not in the first episode. Ellie was in a car, in a crate in the back of the train when everybody met her. So what happened was she was looking for someone in the city of Los Angeles too, and I'm presuming he would have been like one of the demons that we actually killed.
Whoa.
Yeah, so what happened was she was living with her friend Taylor, and then when she got the letter, and then she left town and was basically traveling the states trying to find Carson before the authorities did, to try to protect him. And clues kind of dried up, so she ended up just staying in random towns and bartending and listening for clues. And she encountered a boy who was from the city of Los Angeles, and he was with the priest. And the priest had taken him in and was protecting him. And when the boy was by himself, Ellie got him to confess to her that he was actually very, very abusive to these kids, and that he'd hurt them, and that his mother was not really with the church, and then she suddenly disappeared. And so this priest was taking in kids who their parents mysteriously disappeared. So she had a plan to go and run away with this boy and take him away. So she went to grab her things, he went to grab his things, and when she got back, she found him dead. And the priest had shot him. And she basically fired at him and hit him, and then managed to get out of there and escape and run. She grabbed her horse and she basically booked it, and they were chasing her. And so she lost them at a train station, but she couldn't really get on the train without them noticing her. So she saw some crates and she crawled in. So that was why she was not in the cart. She was in a crate because she was getting shot at when she ended up on the train.
That was about 125-ish hours ago. So
yeah, that was a while
game
ago.
time. Yeah,
right.
Amazing
That was
how
last week.
Amazing how little like conditioning it took for me to never ever be able to hear the sound ever again.
Oh, that always got to me. Always.
And then
No,
now
Puck,
when
that was not a mail order
Kevin
bribe,
does it
but
in
thanks.
other stuff,
He does, and it's frustrating.
and I'm like, no,
It's a great noise. I mean, you can't
Oh man,
tell
I
the
should have had you.
GM.
I should have had you
You-
guess spider noise for me.
Right? Good Lord, I hate it. I hate it. Yeah,
I
and
feel like that's been said a lot. Good Lord, I hate it on this
Yeah.
stream.
Yep.
Thanks.
Or
Pretty
some
much.
variation.
I was gonna say I love how all of my everybody's like Alice moments were Alice being like, pull your head out of your ass, or like doing some like weird shit. I'm just something's happening over there. Something's happening.
What's happening?
Oh, stuff's moving around. Don't worry
I don't
about
know. We're not gonna talk about it.
Everything's fine.
it. Oh, I know what's coming. I know what's coming.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Me.
Nope.
Well, for a
Take it
moment there,
away.
it was just your
There it
package.
is.
But well, let's see. There it is. Yeah.
I mean, you can talk about my dynamite, but
Lord. Yeah.
I just wish. I really.
Look
That's
at
my
that.
one. That's my one wish. I wish I could have thrown more dynamite in this game. Truly.
Hey,
I think you threw the perfect amount of dynamite.
remember that one time that you were in that cave and you died?
Right? Wasn't that
I
great?
want a shotgun. I really want a shotgun. I really want a shotgun. Boom. I'm
Yep.
getting another shotgun.
I did go get
I don't
another.
think you ever fired, but did you ever fire it again? I don't think you ever did,
I don't know.
because I never really got
Oh,
into
you
those.
did.
So
No, we didn't.
I don't.
moving
think-
pictures, yes, yeah, you guys invented
Moving
moving
pictures.
pictures. You invented porn. Well, at least moving porn.
Following the movie.
We invented
Mhm.
thermoses.
Yes,
Oh,
No,
yeah,
right.
I
I had
forgot about-
forgotten that I
forgot
gave
about
that to you. Oh, I forgot to mention that I was going to give that to you. So
Yeah.
Also-
what else?
I want to thank you, especially. God, I forget what you're called, Kevin. I'll just say Kevin. I know you like that.
What you're called, Kevin?
Marshall. That's what it was.
Oh,
I
that.
hate
I
that.
was like,
That's no.
No, because
I
I've
have-
got DM.
I
and
have a
DM
name.
and- I want to thank you, Marshall Kevin, because I really wanted to play a shaman, but that was a subject that I was kind of like, can I even do this? Is this like okay to do? And I feel like you handled it exceptionally well. You gave me a reason, gave someone to teach me. It was beautifully done, and I thank you because I loved every minute of it.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Dang.
There is things that you have to take care of, and there was a couple tricky ones in this, and I really enjoyed the chance to do it. And I agree with you. I don't think we crossed any lines in 41 episodes. I don't think we went too far ever. So, given how dark and emotional and internal this game was, that's saying something. So, and I'm loving this as the Miss Alice. All that's missing there is a little piece of glass. Like, come on, fire!
She had it originally.
Yeah, originally I had it, but
oh,
he did.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Dancing pose is the one that got saved.
In the process of the reposing,
Yeah.
things got lost.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. It's
Big
okay,
Willie's
Willie.
erotic picture
Speaking
show.
of Willie,
that was why I was making that face when you were like, we didn't cross any lines. And I'm like, I was there when we crossed a line.
No, those are different lines.
Yeah,
those
so
are
was
funny
Sean.
lines.
Those
Yeah.
are different lines indeed.
Yes, Sam. Yeah.
I can
Sam's
honestly, hi, mix. This is my cat mixtape. Yeah, she's my
What's
baby.
up, Mixtape?
Everybody's
That's the
favorite
best.
mixtape.
Yeah, she likes to put her butt in my face. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, for me personally, this game, Kevin, like, I can honestly say, and I've said this to you before, it's changed my life. This has been a journey for me. Like, I was going through a lot of heavy stuff, and that's how I made Lucius. He's an amalgamation of like just a lot of the bad times in my life, and it just helped me through that journey to go through. So Lucius really is me, this weirdo. So that just trying to like build up his confidence and just trying to get through his life. So thank you, Kevin, and thank you to all of you. Like, I meant it in that last line when I said he thanks you, and when I said you've helped me in more ways than you'll ever know. I meant that to the bottom of my heart to all of you.
Then this was worth it. Thank you. Yeah. And you know what? We got no questions coming, and that was an awe moment. Does anybody have anything left they want to say before I do my thank yous and get us out of here?
I still think
just thanks to everybody. Just how much fun
Yeah.
this story. So how much fun this story has been.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'd still like to think that Jet never died. Just
Nope.
it can't happen.
Jet went on
Nope,
living
as far as he
forever.
knows, yeah.
Uh,
This is
thank
an
you, Sky.
amazing story.
Oops. They were all amazing stories. There wasn't one character that didn't develop. There wasn't one character that didn't become a hero.
But I tried
And
so
the best part
hard.
is you tried so hard. And the best part is you did it all, as Ryan pointed out, you did it all as a team.
Look at that.
And that's a big deal. So, oh, wow.
There's a sneak peek happening.
And it's changing as we look. So with that, thank you, Sky. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Hannah. And thank you, Ryan.
Thank you,
To the
Kevin.
viewers
Thank
that
you,
are
Kevin.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
Thank you,
Kevin.
Thank you,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Thank you. Am I muted? No, I'm not. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You're very
Jonathan.
welcome.
And thank you, Jonathan.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
Jonathan,
John.
man, that one's coming next.
Can
Right?
we-
Producer, director, alternate reality surgeon, fixer of other people's
know what would
broken
look- you know who
software
would-
on the fly.
You know who would look really good in that window as we close out?
Oh no.
Give a couple seconds.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Look, that
Willie?
Hey, this show is not.
Yes, Willie.
Willie?
This show is
Who?
not sponsored by Hero Forge. So you
no,
know.
no. So we can.
But also, yeah, thank you to
create
everybody in
abominations.
Twitch and everybody in the future watching this on YouTube. I hope you all had as much fun as I did. Good night.
Hold on, I got one last abomination for you.
Yeah.
Oh, please
Yeah.
do. Please do.
All
that
I'm
right.
right.
trying to buy
well,
you some time.
I guess that's our time. Don't worry about me though. I'm gonna be going on to my next adventure. What's that gonna be? Don't know. Hard to say. But I can tell you, it's gonna be exciting. So be sure that you're following along at our Discord channel. And in the meantime, join us next week for the triumphant return of Dungeon Master Puck and the Avalon Knights Academy shows. All right then. Bye.
Morton was a sorcerer who found his powers early on. Blew up his family with a fireball. From that day was on the run. He won.